The Hindu News Analysis for August 11, 2023. We are going to discuss today, then we will immediately get started with the discussion. I have chosen a total of 5 important top articles and columns that are relevant for our mains exam on page number 10 and 12, and we have 3 articles related to macroeconomic situations in the India, United States and in China. As we discussed yesterday, China has been witnessing a deflationary situation, whereas India and us are witnessing inflationary situations, and they are looking at increasing rates. The US has already increased interest rates, whereas in India RBI has maintained the interest rate as of now, but going forward it might consider increasing interest rates to combat rising inflation. So it's very important to examine the economic situation in these countries and take a look at the global macroeconomic situation. Then we have an article on India's relation with Myanmar and a very important development regarding appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners. So let us carry out a detailed analysis of these 5 articles followed by 4 premium articles. So this is what we have lined up for today's discussion. So we begin. Why don't you press the like button, share these videos with other aspirants, and do subscribe to our channel, and also hit the link is given description, because after the session end up we have a topics that will revise these articles again. So with this let us begin with the today's discussion by taking up this column from page number 12. We will be starting with the deflationary situation in China. In fact, this is very detailed article. It provides us a lot of insights into the concept of deflation. We can understand what is deflation, what is its impact on country's economy, and what can governments and central governments do to combat deflation. We shall also understand why China is witnessing this situation and how it affects the rest of the world. This topic is in news because a couple of days ago China's official statistics were brought out, and according to these statistics, consumer price index, that is CPI inflation levels has experienced a decline, and there has been a drop of 0.3% in month of July compared to previous year. Even the producer index, which indicates the demand within the industry at the producer level, has sharply contracted 4.4% in the month of July. So these two indices, which measures the inflation levels at the consumer level and purchasing level at the producers, both have seen a drop, and experts believe that this marks a deflationary situation in the Chinese economy. They believe that the demand in China, consumer demand, has been declining, and this is directly contributing to the deflationary situation. This is in complete contrast to the rest of the world. The situation in China is in complete contrast to the rest of the world, because the other major economies like India, US and even Europe, you are witnessing inflationary trends. So how you are witnessing inflationary trends. So how does this compare, and what reasons could be behind these challenges in the major economies? So let us dive deep into this topic. Let us begin with very basic concept of deflation. Let us understand the basic definition of deflation, compare it with inflation, and then understand the impact of deflation. Now please take a look at this. I have given you a basic explanation of what is deflation, what is inflation. Deflation is defined as the general decrease in the price of the goods and service in an economy over a given period of time. That is essentially the prices of the basic goods and commodities and services if it sees a general decline over a given period of time. Such a situation is called deflationary situation. Whereas On another hand, inflation is the opposite. Inflation refers to a general increase in the prices of the goods and services in our economy over a period of time, but inflation tends to occur when there is a very high demand for goods and services but on the supply side there are constraints to match the demand. So when the supply does not catch up with the demand keeps rising. Obviously there will be a shortage of essential goods and services, so this causes a price rise, and this mismatch in demand and supply leads to increase in the prices of goods and services. Whereas in deflationary situation there is a drop in the demand for goods and services, and the consumer demand for essential goods and services sees a major decline, leading to a surplus of the availability of the goods and services, and as a result the prices will fall. There will be a decline in the general decline in the prices of the so such a general fall in the prices of the goods and services in an economy is referred to as deflation. So now what does this affects the common man? How does it affects the broader economy? See, if the prices are dropping, it also means that the purchasing power of your money is increasing. Correct? Let's say a commodity is costing rupees 100 today, tomorrow will cost just $90. It means that the money that you hold will fetch you more goods and services. You can purchase more and your purchasing power increases. So you might think that deflation is good for common man, since the prices are going down, right? The common man is always concerned about the prices of goods and services. So just by looking at the prices, you might feel that this is good for the economy. It benefits everyone, but this is a wrong assumption, because deflation has a widespread domino effect on the economy. In fact, it creates a vicious cycle which actually pushes the economy on a downward trend and affects the employment levels. It affects the growth of the economy, it affects the industrial growth and production, and it creates this vicious cycle where every entity would be affected, right? From the common man to industry, right? Every stakeholder will be affected in a deflational economy. Let's understand how this works. Now imagine if the price drops consistently, okay, and then deflationary situation has set in. Now what will the consumers assume? Think like a common man. If prices are dropping, we all assume that the prices will continue to drop. So what we do, we hold back on our purchases, and let's say I want to buy a mobile phone, or I want to purchase a laptop, or I want to purchase some jewelry. I see that the prices are declining all across the economy. I hold back my purchase. I don't go out and purchase the commodities I want, because I am hoping that the prices will further decline. This is the general human tendency behavior, because consumers will stop buying enough goods and services because they are all hoping that the prices will further drop. This is very true in the real estate market as well. Let us say you are looking at an apartment or a piece of land. You are almost ready to purchase this property within a month, but you see that there is a deflationary situation and you hold back your purchase because you are hoping that 4 or 5 months down the line, of 6 months down the line of the price might further drop, so that you can benefit more. So as a consumer hold back on their purchases, this will further drive demand downwards. A demand gets pushed down when the prices are dropping consistently, and as the demand goes down, the prices also go down. What will happen? The profit margin of companies takes a direct hit. Is that clear? Goods and services that they have produced at higher input costs, they will have to sell at a lower price, and that too where demand is subsided. In such a deflationary market, companies will incur losses. Their profit margin will cut enough. Consumers will not be purchasing their goods and services. So as a result, the companies will be forced to lay off their employees and cut costs. They will have to cut their production, cut down the purchase of raw material, and this creates a cyclical effect which affects the every other sector in the economy. Is that clear? Now imagine a food processing plant. It sees that demand is going down, the prices are going down, so that the company will start cutting costs. It might reduce salaries for few employees, lay off few employees, so as a result people will have lost their job. They will have no money to purchase correct. Imagine if you have been fixed, or if your salary has been cut down because the company is not performing well and the economy is not performing well, so people have lost their jobs, still will stop purchasing. They will not go for any discretionary spending. They will only spend on essentials like food, etc., but they will stop any other discretionary spend. This further brings down the economy, brings down the prices and demands. So this is a vicious cycle that created these companies will cut down their production as well. The extent to which they are producing, they will tone it down, because if demand and falling prices will stop the production, and they will put a hold on the raw materials that they are purchasing. So in this case, the food processing industry will cut down the purchase of the raw material from the farmers. It will cut down the purchase of other ingredients from the other connected industries, and hence all the sectors will get equally affected. So when people are unemployed on a large scale, the demand goes down, and even further this is not only reduces the demand and discretionary spending. People will not able to repay the loans and they have that they have borrowed. Look at the cyclical domino effect. Companies which are incurring losses may not be able to repay the loans. People losing jobs won't be able to repay their loan. As a result, bad loans increases. The non-performing assets NPA of the banks will rise, leading to the broader economic destabilization, and it affects the credit ability of the bank as well. Now banks will become very cautious if the borrowers are not repaying. If they are losing their ability to repay the loan, banks will hold back the fresh loans that they are going to give. Correct, they will hold back the fresh loans, whereby creating a liquidity crunch in the economy. So as the liquidity dries up, funds available for investment will become reduced, and this creates a vicious cycle of downward growth and the downward demand, causing a large scale unemployment. This is the devastating impact of the deflation. If the deflation persists for a long enough period, you will witness these consequences. So please take a look at this vicious cycle that I have added over here, and this gives you a perfect illustration about deflation is nothing but a general reduction in the prices of goods and services, and this causes a losses to the companies. There is a small cash flow, the revenue comes down for companies, causing a cost reduction, layoffs, increasing the unemployment, lesser spending on goods and services by the consumer, and oversupply of goods and services, and this along with the bad loans will lead to dry up of the liquidity as banks becomes cautious, and they will withhold giving out loan to the borrowers. Is that clear? So now that you have So now that you have understood what exactly is deflation and what is its impact, and let us see the solution. What can be done in such a situation? The responsibility clearly lies with the central bank, that is RBI, and the government. And the central bank can make changes to the monetary policy, and the government can come out with the fiscal policy through its budget and give out a budgetary supports and incentives in order to boost the demand in the economy. The central bank will have to focus on the increasing liquidity, which means the policy rates has to be altered. The interest rates by the central bank and the rate at which the commercial banks borrows from the central bank will have to be reduced, so that the banks have an incentive to borrow more from the central bank, give out more loans, and government will have to create incentives, give subsidies if required, for industry, for the consumers, to revive demand in the economy. This is the way out. That is why the government and central banks, they immediately step in with these policy measures to try and boost the demand and increase the liquidity so that this growth cycle can be restored. That is why experts always says that slight inflation is always better for the economy than deflation. Many people have a wrong assumption that deflation is good for the common man. Trust me, it's not. If deflation persists for long enough period, it affects every single person, it affects every sector in the economy. But a slight inflation on the other hand, let's say a inflation of the 3% or 4% is always good, because it means that the demand is sustained in the economy, and as long as the demand is sustained, the industry will keep producing, the supply will keep coming in and drives the growth, drives employment and creates opportunities for everyone. So that is why an ideal situation is to have a slight manageable inflation. That is any day a better situation than having deflation. Of course, inflation is also dangerous when it becomes uncontrollable. If inflation crosses, let's say, 5%, 6%, anything about the extremely dangerous, as the rising prices will again affect the economy. But manageable inflation at the manageable level is always ideal for the economy, as it sustains the demand and keeps the driving the supply, thus increasing the production and providing growth in the economy. But there are few economists who provides a counter argument to the other economists believe that deflation per se may not be a problem, because they say that economies like US, China, and they have witnessed many deflationary trends in the past as well, even when they are experiencing a rapid economic growth. Even during the times of rapid growth, where the governments and central banks were driving liquidity into the market to push growth and demand, and they've seen a few cycles where demand has fallen due to few other factors. They also cite the example of Japan. Japan has been going through a deflationary cycle since many years. In fact, it has been affected by the persistent deflation for few decades right now. But still, the standard of living and the per capita income of the people has actually increased in Japan. But these are exceptions. Japan is a developed economy. It is an advanced economy. Despite the depression which has been seen, Japan has been able to sustain its growth, and there is active government intervention, central bank intervention to address the side effects of deflation. So, based on this, economists argue that deflation per se may not be entirely bad for the economy. It is still manageable if the right corrective action is taken by the government and the central government. Without government and central government intervention, the situation will become very dangerous. But no government will sit idle when deflation sets in. That's why in countries like US and China and Japan, despite few deflationary trends, the impact has been minimized due to the timely interventions of the government and central government. Usually in these cases where deflation is seen even during periods of growth, it's because of rise in supply of goods which has outpaced the rate of money supply growth. When compared to the rise in liquidity, if the supply of goods increases beyond that, that is where you see a slight drop in the demand, causing deflation for few cycles. So that one theory proposed by few economists, that is not entirely bad as believed, because government will step in and will immediately correct that cycle. So you should note that countries that experience high price inflation, they do suffer from low economic growth as well at the times. So understanding at this correlation is important. Deflation, yes, it is dangerous if it sustains, but if the central government, if they intervenes at the right time, if they boost the liquidity and ensure that demand is revived at right time, the things will come back on track. So economists also have a an argument the deflation need not cause consumers to postpone the purchases. They say that even this is a wrong belief, because please understand the connection here. We don't generally decide our purchase just based on prices. Now let us say I have lost my mobile phone, right? Irrespective of what the prices are, I will go and purchase the mobile phone. So what these economists says is that there is a direct causation, that consumer demand is what determines the prices and not the other way around. We don't determine our purchasing based on the prices all the time. Yes, prices plays a key role. It's one of the key factors we consider before we purchase something from the market, but that is not only driving factor. Consumers will continue to purchase irrespective of the prices. And it is a consumer demand which in turn determines the prices. So this is the counter argument, and says that no, deflation need not cause sustained business losses. Maybe for few cycles there might be losses for companies, but very quickly this can be corrected because consumers will continue their purchase and the demand will come back. If the central bank and the governments have intervened in the right policy support, definitely the cycle can be reversed according to these economies. Now the question is, why exactly is China experiencing deflation? See, in the last few years, China has been going through a tough period as far as its economy is concerned, even before the COVID-19 pandemic. There are few structural issues in the Chinese economy, and this had led the Chinese central bank to intervene to keep up the interest rates low in order to boost the demand, to increase the liquidity, so that people have more money in their hands to drive the investment and purchasing. And the Chinese central bank has adopting a pro-growth policy. We had seen this even before the pandemic, where Chinese economy was lagging due to its own internal challenges, and the central bank had intervened time and again to increase liquidity to drive more production and investment and demand. Now the pandemic dealt a severe hit to the Chinese economy. The COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns, it completely disrupted the production cycles, and the strict zero COVID policy of China had a huge impact on its economy. This is what led China to head towards a deflationary market. The long period of strict lockdowns followed by the lack of support from the government has possibly created this deflationary trend, and it's likely that the reason is primarily the lack of liquidity, and this is something which can be easily addressed once the central bank steps in. Once the People's Bank of China, with the support of Communist Party, if it steps in and induces enough funds to push liquidity up, it will bring back demands and revive the economy, put it back on a slightly inflationary path. But however, if the situation is not managed right, this could have a cascading effect on the global economy, because even today China dominates the global supply chain. Many countries including India and US are heavily dependent on imports from China. So these are the developments. If they are not well handled by the Chinese government and the Chinese central bank, it will have an adverse effect on the global economy, and it will affect the economy of the various countries including India. So now let us talk about next article on the same page, which examines the state of US economy, because recently there has been a major development. The US central bank, that is let us continue this article in the next video. Stay tuned to the next part of the video for this August 11 updation. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe. Have a nice day.